Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here, and today we're going kind of outside of the comfort zone of what I usually cover again, but it is about horror. It's actually gotten pretty big and gotten more into drama than it really is horror, but I still wanted to talk about it because I have a lot of thoughts on it. And it's about In Praise of Shadow's new video called Bad Conservative Horror Movies. At this point, it's been deleted because it was very poorly researched, slanders and smears a lot of people, and also just generally does not give what the video advertised, which is pretty much probably the least of the problems with it, but that is the main thing. It just isn't what the video claims it is. You know, when you see a video like that, you're expecting maybe a list of bad conservative horror movies or something like that along those lines, which it just does not do that. It's a very unfocused 3.5-hour video. I've watched 2 hours of it. Basically what happened was the wendigoon section was deleted, and then the whole thing was deleted because the whole thing is just a total mess. It goes from odd things like criticizing Cody Leach for going to a horror convention, which this guy actually happened to be at, and I guess Kevin Spacey was in another room or something at the convention, and because he didn't talk about it, even though he didn't see him, take pictures with him, give him any money, I guess it was his obligation to protest that. Like I said, he was also there, so what was he doing the whole time? There's sections about, you know, how AI was used in Late Night with the Devil, some of which is about him kind of complaining about how he got smeared for a video he did on The Hills Have Eyes and was taken out of context, and people used that to smear him, which is ironic when you get into what this video was really about. And then the piece that really got big, which was the piece about Wendigoon. I'm a huge fan of Wendigoon. I find his videos really inspirational, honestly. He does very long-form, interesting, well-researched videos about a lot of different topics, books, history, just very interesting stories, sometimes conspiracy theories, movies, all of the above. He really does do it all. He's kind of the jack of all trades, but feels like it all still falls into that kind of niche, and a lot of it does have to do with horror, and that stuff really interests me. He does some really interesting movie breakdowns, like he did one for Skinamarink, he did one for No Country for Old Men, even though that's not horror. But still, overall, he's just a pretty wholesome seeming guy. He's gotten flack before, and it's literally because he's religious and likes guns. So yeah, you could just tell that this guy is pretty terminally online. Seems like that's kind of where he comes at this from, because he has to stretch so far to smear the people that he talks about, and it's really frustrating. Obviously, you know, I'm a huge fan of Cody Leach. I've defended him a couple times with the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey stuff, and this just feels like another opportunity of someone smearing him for no reason. He went to a convention and had fun. He didn't at all interact with Kevin Spacey, and that's the convention's fault. They didn't even really advertise him. I don't see what the problem was with him being there and having fun. He's just there to meet the guys from the Lost Boys, so obviously who cares? And then with the Wendigoon part, this was the part that was especially egregious, and the lengths that he goes to smear him are just insane. He kind of just discredits a lot of his commentary, especially, you know, like that comment he made about not wanting to hear 5 hours of opinions from a 21-year-old rich kid, calling Wendigoon that. Many other things as egregious as he's an alt-right Nazi because he wears Hawaiian shirts in his videos, tying him to some odd movement. You know, I'm not going to give you all the research clips or anything, because other videos will do it better than I could do it justice. I'm going to link Willymac's video below, which he probably does the best possible job of giving you the pure facts and research. I'm kind of just giving you my opinions and my thoughts on this whole thing, because it feels like it's one of the few times where the horror community's transcended into drama, into other things, because I see a lot of videos coming out of communities, content creators that are not at all related to horror. I just saw that Shoe had posted a video about it, so that's how you know things are really getting out of hand, and this is just becoming a lot more than it was originally intended to. It's very odd because the video really is not that much about horror movies. From what I've seen, it's not even really like he lists individual movies that are horror movies to say that they're conservative or whatever. It's mainly just a shit list he has, people on Twitter, people on YouTube, Jason Blum, people he doesn't like, and just saying, oh, you sat down with this guy, you interacted with this person on Twitter, oh, you're friends with this person, they said this 20 years ago. It's really sad, a really sad attempt to smear the whole thing in general. It's just a bad look too for the horror community when you kind of use it and harness it to spread shit like this. It's overall just a terrible video, an absolute smear job against people he doesn't like, and that's really the only value that it provides. Almost none of his points when it comes to actual people have substance. A lot of it just seems like he's airing grievances that he has, meanwhile just being the most smug person imaginable, very condescending, telling people who and who cannot like horror. It really is. It's just weird, especially too because he's coming at it from that angle of horror should be about accepting everybody. It should be about welcoming anybody into this community. Anybody should be allowed to enjoy horror movies. Anybody should be allowed in this community. The thing with horror movies, horror fans, a lot of them are outcasts. A lot of them aren't traditionally normal people. And that's what I found so good about them. That's why I've enjoyed being a part of it. They're very accepting. They're very nice people. But it feels like he's coming at it from the separate angle of, yeah, we should accept everybody as long as I approve of you and you think exactly the same way I do. Otherwise, you're not welcome. And that's just so frustrating, the idea of gatekeeping who and who can't be part of the horror community. There shouldn't be any kind of threshold on that. Everybody's welcome to enjoy horror movies. Everybody's welcome to the community. And it's so antithetical to the whole, I don't want to say ideology, but the whole perspective of most horror fans. I love horror movies. There's so much of my life, and being part of that community has really made a difference. My time here on YouTube, I've really enjoyed. I've met so many great people from doing this. So it's just very odd when I see people that are so bitter, they use it to target people, be hateful, smear. And that's what this video is. It really is just a smear job, nothing more, nothing less. He actually has some interesting takes, I think, on, like I said, the parts where he's speaking about AI and Late Night with the Devil. He has some interesting points when it comes to the way in which Blumhouse horror movies are made and produced and stuff. I actually think he has some interesting points. This seems like a guy who, when he takes his chronically online perception off, can analyze horror movies in an interesting way, but it just seems like he's completely let his mentality, jealousy, anger just run loose. It's completely tainted his perception of everything. And now when he sees a guy like Wendigoon, who's very successful, does kind of adjacent videos to his, things like horror stuff, he's so well read, he's so passionate about what he does, and that's what people love about his videos, is that he's so knowledgeable on these situations. I think that's something that Turkey Tom pointed out, and it's made people really latch on to Wendigoon, whereas in Praise of Shadows, it seems like his videos are kind of hit or miss, and he spends a lot of this video actually complaining about how hard he's had it as a YouTube content creator. He spent a large amount complaining about how he couldn't pay his bills because certain videos get traction, others don't, kind of in the fallout of what I mentioned earlier with his Hills Have Eyes video. But the thing I don't understand about it is that instead of bridging a gap, he chooses to lash out on people more successful than him. I'm really glad to see that there really isn't anybody that is siding with him, because this was just so obviously in bad faith. Nothing this guy does is remotely in good faith. I mean, like I mentioned, Wendigoon wearing a Hawaiian shirt was equated to an alt-right dog whistle. He really is just a normal guy who happens to be Christian and owns guns. There's genuinely nothing else. He said he's not political. Going back to Cody Leach is not political, but this guy can't see through anything other than the lens of politics, so he's going to have to take everything and conflate it as that way. He grasps at so many straws throughout this video, and it's just so poorly structured because it's all over the place, like I mentioned, none of which working to produce any kind of cohesive thesis. I don't really understand what the actual point of the video was, because it really doesn't have one. It doesn't work to an overall point about the horror community, about horror movies, the way they're made, content creators. It really doesn't. It's just bang, 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 bitchin', 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 just crying about certain things that he views as a threat or a bad thing, people he doesn't want in the community because of weird reasons, trends he doesn't like. It all comes out to be just very poorly made, and everybody saw right through it. There was actually just an odd thing where apparently on his Discord he said, "Do you guys think I can come back from this?" And I gotta say, I mean, never say never, but you lost a lot of credibility after what you did here. That's the main thing you gotta understand, is that a lot of credibility was lost by making a video like this, as poorly researched as it was, many false allegations. He admitted that he wrote people off because he saw a group picture of people with guns, and then that automatically said, well, I wrote you off and believed everything that I heard about you. It's just very frustrating, but it's not like it's being taken seriously. Still wanted my thoughts out there though, and like I said, I will link Willymac's video below because I think he does the best job of breaking down kind of the issues, and he has a more researched opinion on it. I mean, I've researched it, but I'm not regurgitating everything, all the facts and everything that I've seen. But I also don't want to remove any kind of nuance or context. I want to give you guys the best context that I possibly can. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I know this is kind of a different topic than I usually would, but I still felt passionate about it, wanted to cover it, wanted to talk about it. So let me know what you guys think. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.